Hello, my name is Chanel and today I'm doing my weekly deck selection video, what decks I worked with this week. So as I mentioned in the intro, it doesn't include my daily decks, it doesn't include the new decks I've gotten this month, it's just the other decks I decided to work with. So I'll start with the Dreamy Moons Tarot. This was the tarot deck. So what I like to do is I like to pick one tarot deck and then 3 oracles because I just have so many more oracle decks than tarot decks. I prefer oracle over tarot, as in there's more variety for me in oracles than there is tarot. So I just happen to have more oracle decks. So this is the Dreamy Moons, which was a new purchase last month. I was very excited to get this because I love the artist's other works and items, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to say that I was disappointed, because I wasn't disappointed, but I think I just had such high expectations that I couldn't help but be a little bit not as impressed. Like, I love the borders are gorgeous. I normally don't like borders, but on this one I like foiling on cards. I am a sucker for the bling. I do love the backs. I think they're gorgeous. The cardstock is okay. I don't like shiny gold gilding on the edges. It sort of cuts. But it is a bit like, it's a bit thin, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it. But yeah, the illustrations just are a bit plain. I don't know how else to describe it, like just a bit uninspired. I think not uninspired, that's harsh. Traditional, I guess. I feel like they're very traditional, and I was sort of expecting more of her to come across in the imagery, whereas this just feels very Rider-Waite-Smith to me. And that was not just the case with the artwork, but also with her descriptions in the guidebook. So yeah, I was just expecting more original slant on the RWS rather than something that sticks very closely to the traditional RWS. So look, she did change some of the suits. That's actually something that I don't really enjoy that much, because I don't remember. I have to keep going back into the book and being like, okay, so what's this suit actually again, or what's that one again? And yeah, it's slightly annoying, but because that means like I don't get an initial hit from the card, because I'm like, well, I don't know, is it the Queen of Swords or is that the Queen of Pentacles? Because that's a very different meaning. You know what I mean? So I have to wait and then go into the book and then, you know, use my intuition. But yeah, it's just, I was like expecting a bit more uniqueness to it. Like, I guess, you know, that is, but then I'm like, okay, was it stars, pentacles again? Or is it wands? Is it, I don't remember. But yeah, so, okay, this is a bit different. But yeah, so look, I have enjoyed using it. The guidebook doesn't include, like, I don't normally do reversals, and that's one of her unique cards, which I always like it when people add their own card to a tarot deck. I'm all for more additions to the 78. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't read reversals, as in I just don't like upside down cards. That just, I don't know if it's my OCD, it just drives me nuts. I determine myself in my reading whether I'm going to be looking at the light aspects of the card or the shadow aspects. I just go with my intuition on that. But this doesn't, yeah, she hasn't put any of her own you know, reversal meanings in it. But like I said, I'm just going to say they, because I don't know if she identifies as she. They just stuck to the traditional RWS with their descriptions anyway. So I just use my own shadow meanings in that respect. But yeah, like, I've enjoyed working with it because I had so many decks last month. So many just arrived all in one go that the shipping has been just absolute chaos. I don't know if it's like that everywhere in the world, but in Australia, There's literally some items from a store that is 10 minutes away. In hindsight, I should have driven there and picked it up, but I've injured my arm from crocheting and I couldn't lift like heavy items. So I was like, no, this way I can just kick it in get the postman to put it into my door and then just unpack it little item by little item. But yeah, I still haven't received it and it's been 10 days and I'm like, okay, that's great. Anything from overseas, you're looking at a minimum 4 weeks, sometimes months. So yeah, just last month, I just had all of these decks come at once. So I didn't get, even though I tried to work with them each, none of them got in-depth work. So I'm probably going to be including a lot of my July deliveries in this month's weekly selections, just so I can get to know them and decide, are you going to stay or are you going to go? So that's the Dreamy Moon Tarot. I'll put all the decks together at the end so you can see. I also like to choose decks that like have a similar aesthetic, I guess. This is the Oracle of the Long Now. I edged mine in black. So I ended up doing I can't remember if I included this in the Vibrant decks. I think it was, and it reminded me that I had it. I don't know about you, but sometimes there's just certain decks that sort of fall on the wayside and you just forget you have them. Like they might just be in the bottom of my box. I think I might need to change how I store all of my decks, because the fact that like I forgot that I had this. In the beginning I didn't really have a system, oh god, of how I rotated my decks, so it was just all willy-nilly, and I find that when I do that, some are not going to get as much play. So I've created a schedule for myself. Created all these combos and everything for a couple of weeks ahead, just to make sure that I go through everything too, because I want to make sure I've gotten into the spirit of decluttering again, thanks to rereading the Magic, the Art of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And now I'm like, okay, let's see if these decks spark joy. Do I love them, or am I just, yeah, they're okay? Because I'd rather just I'm getting to the point where I think I've got around, I don't know, 70 decks at the moment, and I'm starting to be like, I don't want to get more storage. So I'm thinking, let's do a bit of a curation and see, because that also leaves space for new things to come in. So I'm very deliberately going through my entire collection in the next couple of months and really determining, you know, will you stay or will you go? This has like a unique, I'm going to read one of each cards at the end so you can sort of see what the kind of messages there are in this, but this is quite unique in its messages and its topics, so I don't think this is going to go anywhere, and I do like the art style. I think it's cool, so I don't think this one's in fear of being rehomed, but we shall see. But yeah, I'm just trying to go through everything and really get to know my decks, because as I mentioned before, I only just got into this is Oracle of the Rose. I only just got into cartomancy this year, and not even at the start of this year, like I think it was March. So I just bought anything and everything to try everything. Like I said, I wish there was the libraries loaned out decks so that you could sample before you buy, but they do not. So the only way to, you know, besides borrowing my mother's, which was very helpful, is to purchase and try it yourself, and if it's not for you, rehome. And yeah, just through trial and error do you sort of get a better intuition of what is something that you think you will enjoy. But even then I found like sometimes that just hasn't worked out, even if it's a theme I like and it's a cardstock I like and it's a creator I like, sometimes you just don't connect. It's just that, you know, that spark, that chemistry is just not there, and if it's not there, it's not there. You know, so yeah, I'm just going through everything, and then I'll be doing a curation at the end, and proceeding in the future with a bit, well, I no longer feel the need to just try everything that comes out now. I've tried so many decks now that I'm a bit more learned, so yeah, I'll be a bit more prudent in my future purchases. But so this is Oracle of the Rose. I really do like supporting local artists whenever I can. So whenever I see a deck by someone who's local, that sort of does add a bit more weight to, should I get it? Because yeah, I do like to use my money to support others in ways that I can. And also, you know, less travel because it's just coming locally. But yeah, this is not normally something that I would say is my aesthetic at all, but I enjoy it. I like the, what do you call it? Keywords. I like the messages. The cardstock's great. It's that satin matte. It's quite thick. It's not very bendy, so I don't know how it would go riffle shuffling. I'm not a riffle shuffler, so keep that in mind whenever I talk about like, oh, a shuffle's great. I'm just an overhander. But yeah, this is also a little unique. I don't really have anything else that looks like this. But yeah, I'll read one later so you can see what it's like. But this also hasn't had much play. I think I got it and I played with it for a few days, and then like I said, just decks on decks on decks were flying at me, and I only have 2 hands, so I've only got so much time. So everything was just like a little bit of a taste and off you went into a box, a little bit of a taste into a box. So, but I'm looking forward to getting a bit more in-depth knowledge of the decks I do have, and from here on out. All right, the next up we got the Wild Unknown Alchemy. So it's another thing I've done since injuring my arm. I used to just make bags immediately, and then unfortunately I got tendonitis in my arms, which I'm currently seeing a physio and osteopath for, and it still hasn't healed. It's been a few weeks now. Still hasn't healed, so I've learned a lesson too, not to make bags until I am 100% sure the deck is staying in my collection, because also it's nice, I think, like obviously when I rehome them to family and friends anyway, they're not going to mind that it's not in its original box. But yeah, in the future, if I did want to resell any of them, I don't know if I'd go down that route. Maybe like, and we're in Australia. If you're in Australia, let me know, like, where do you buy and sell your used decks? And if it's like Facebook, then I'm already out because I don't have Facebook account, I don't have Instagram, but I'm just curious if there's any actual platforms that people use besides like Gumtree, I would think, for buying decks, because there are some decks that I would love to own that are no longer in print, but I just don't know where to look. I'm like, where do I look for this? I don't know. Reddit? Really? I just don't want to get scammed. Do you know what I mean? I want something with a bit more credibility. But yeah. So I've been working with this one as well. It's very intriguing. It's like, so I like the illustrations. The cardstock is that satin. I like that. The shape is very cool. I'm going to say it's cool. It's a little hard to shuffle, but it's not unmanageable. So I do think that's pretty awesome. You know, I think it's a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, hexagon. I don't have any of her other decks. I waited for this one. The other ones just didn't appeal to me. There was just something, but then this one, I have always been interested in alchemy, and yeah, this one just appealed to. I bought this sight unseen, pre-ordered it, and I'm not disappointed. That was a big risk for me, pre-ordering something I didn't see anything of, but I just had a feeling, had a vibe, and it's been interesting. I'm learning, so it's a, you know, one of those decks where you're actually learning about subject matter. So that's always fun to me. I love to learn new things. I'm just trying to think about the longevity of it. Is it going to be one of those decks that like sort of the novelty wears off, so to speak? Or is it going to be something that I am able to consistently get excellent messages from? That's such a stunning card. In my breath. I think that's one of those just wait and see things. Like, you've just got to see how it sort of ends up, you know, wearing its way into your collection, or whether it just no longer fits. But at the moment, I love it, and I've liked reading with it. But yeah, I think I just have to give this one a lot more time to see how I feel about it. But at the moment, it's cool. I love doing Kim Kranz's spreads. Like when you do a big spread with this one, and that the way that they just interlock. I'm just going to hold it. This is not going to go. I can already tell this is a fool's errand, but it's just gorgeous. It's got that honeycomb effect, and so that's just very visually pleasing. So I love the architecture of it in that way. I thought that was super cool. and it creates really gorgeous, you know, visuals as a spread. I feel like too, this is also some decks I do feel a lot more feminine energy from, whereas this I feel like has a great balance of like yin yang. So that's something like, you know, I've just noted that the, you know, masculine or feminine energies in decks, whereas this I feel like is quite balanced. Not, you know, it's got that middle ground. But yeah, this was the other deck that I've used this week. I'm also going to put up spread that I used this week. So one that oh, look at that bee before I go into the spread, that I enjoyed was the full moon in Aquarius, I believe it was. I always like to do spreads for the full and new moons in the star signs. But yeah, so that was up there. I'm just going to show the cards and how they sort of like flow together. I'm going to move my decorations aside. Sorry guys, you've got to move. And then we've got this dude here. So depends on the decks. Normally I'll choose an oracle deck as like the main theme of the reading, but in this case I chose the what do you call it, the tarot as the main theme. I'm just gonna I might need to zoom out. I can do that. Yes I can. Chanel, sometimes you have to use that noggin of yours, lady. And where's the other deck? Here we go, Oracle of the One now. So this is sort of like how they look together, which I thought they were kind of cute. Now I feel like moving it to the side. Apologies, I'm just going off the cuff with this. I didn't really plan. It's not proper planning in today's video. Maybe I'll find something a little less colorful. Anyway, so and I'll just change all of them so you can get a different look, different color vibe. So I'll read one from each. So we've got the Emperor up the top there, and it says keywords are authority, father figure, responsibility. I lead with confidence and fairness. I'm just going to flip through these while I read so you can see some more again. Reinforce a sense of sovereignty within yourself and take charge of the parts of your life that require attention. If the Empress is the mother archetype, the Emperor is the father, representing the masculine. He sits on a throne carved with 4 ram heads, symbolic of his connection with Aries, ruled by the planet Mars. His white beard shows that he's had years of experience. He is radiating wisdom and confidence. The Emperor tells you to be responsible for the empire that you have created. Where are you falling short? He also encourages you to step into the father figure role, regardless of your gender identity, and protect and provide for your loved ones. So that was the Emperor. Now I'll read from this one here. So we've got Speculum Glass. Oh, that's one thing I didn't like about this guidebook was the font. I have a really hard time reading this font for some reason. So that's one peeve with this deck, is just the index font. All right, so transparency, focus, seeing. Glass transmits a sacred exchange between the alchemist and their work. Through the glass vessel, the alchemist sees their work and the work sees the alchemist. What was once clouded in confusion becomes focused. What was once veiled becomes obvious. How are you currently seeing the world? What is your perspective? The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. With it, you naturally focus on what is most central in your life. All else falls into the periphery. The next right action becomes clear. Glass is fragile by nature and requires regular cleaning. So find daily practices that align your vision to what is true. It's easy to slip into an old mode of seeing, particularly someone else's. So hold steady to your new alchemical lenses. Their power is mighty. Go deeper. View Robert Smithson's sculpture, Map of Broken Glass Atlantis. To ponder, the sand becoming glass. Glass is a separator. It puts a clear barrier between the observer and the observed. Ponder on this distance making and whether it is serving or hindering. Some speak of rose-colored glasses that shift our perspective. Take inventory of what lens you are looking through. Is the glass muddy, colored, cracked, or crystal clear? So that's that one, the Wild Unknown Alchemy. Now I'll read from the Oracle of the Rose. So that's Carousel. This one right here. Keywords: anxiety, loop, magical, merry-go-round, mystery ride, and stuck. In reversed, I'm going to swap hands. Forward movement, unstuck. Sometimes situations in life can make us feel like we are stuck on a carousel going round and round and never really getting anywhere. At times like these, we just have to be patient and wait for the ride to end before we can disembark and move forward again. Alternatively, we sometimes cause the carousel to continue by playing the fair repeatedly. It is easy to become stuck going round in circles. Is there something that is currently keeping you stuck? In what way can you slow down the carousel so that you can jump off? Perhaps Spirit is encouraging you to stop for a while and slow down. Put aside mental anguish and put aside your task list, even if for a moment in your mind. Take time for yourself. Self-care is extremely important so that we don't become overexhausted and overwhelmed. Carousel is also your reminder to enjoy life. If there is a carousel near you, then why not embrace your inner child and take that magical ride? Think back to when you were a child and carousels were a place where you could let your imagination run free. Carousels were truly magical and joyful experience. Allow yourself to be carried away by magic, not in a never-ending loop. Okay, so that's that one. I also felt like all of these played really well together. I'll say that as well. Okay, so then we've got strategy, and I've got to do my Roman numerals, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the best at with my brain fog. Oh my goodness, I lost it. And my fingers are all slippy today. So, card of strategy. The card of strategy illustrates that we are all players in the theatre of life. Operating with strategy and authority can help us to navigate the material plane of existence. The chessboard offers a symbolism of engagement, game playing, and competition. Chess-like games were played in India in the 6th century. Strategic engagement on the games board has been with us a long time. Drawing the card of strategy suggests that you may come into contact with those who are driven to compete with you. Most of the cards in the Oracle deck deal with situations relating to existence. This card deals more with people around you. You can be empowered by understanding the thought processes and operations of those who look at life primarily as a game to win. Behaving fairly to people who are being unfair can impact on them and make them review their manipulative approach to life. We are all about uniqueness. Each human has potential and possibility, but we also have to find productive ways to work with others. The strategy card speaks of organization and advises you to apply time control, conduct and ethics, and formulate procedures for resolving conflicts in your life. I thought that's quite funny that ended up with almost 3 sort of sun energy cards, and then I've got the moon up the top. I'm just going to leave the High Priestess there. I'm sort of tempted to like go to the sun card just to no, I'm going to stick it just to have it all symbiotic. But yeah, I thought that these cards played pretty well together, and I have enjoyed them all so far. But yeah, so these were my deck picks for this week. So wherever you are, I hope you're having a incredible morning, afternoon, or evening. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.